I'm Benjamin. Welcome to my book club. Let's talk about good news spaceships and bad news spaceships. Okay, I just finished chapter 10 of The Forge of God by Greg Bear. Hopefully someone out there's reading along with me. What do I think? I think we're heating up. I think it's starting to get pretty good. I'm really excited. So, where are we? So we've now got 2 spaceships on Earth that have been discovered, and inside each of them is some form of alien sentience or life, but the life or sentience in each of them is different. So we have what the book has started calling the bad news spaceship, which is the one that we've got here in America that's landed in Death Valley, and out of that one's come this 4-limbed bishop hat shaped headed 3-eyed alien who's prophesizing news of doomsday. He's telling us stories that the alien spaceships are here to destroy the planet. Meanwhile, also in Australia, hidden under a copy of Ayers Rock, we have the good news spaceship, out of which have come 3 robots that look like floating silver gourds, who are promising the Australians that they've come to bring a new level of peace and prosperity to the planet. And the Australian Prime Minister appears to be believing this. The Australians have come public with this much information so far. Meanwhile, the Americans are staying very tightly lipped. The characters we met last time that discovered the spaceship in Death's Valley, Edward Shaw, the geologist, his 2 other science friends, and the lady from the fuel station that they went to, are now all under quarantine on the Air Force Base, being held in case they've come in contact with some alien biological germ that might spread across the planet, is the story they're being told. Arthur and Harry are now on the Air Force Base and have interviewed the alien, and the talks with the alien in these chapters has been really interesting. Its thought patterns are clearly very different. It's given us some hints as to what's going on and some information about where it came from. It says that it came from an icy world where there were many more aliens like him, as well as in other forms. Ones that swam through the ice, swam through the water, flew in the air, or walked on the ground as he does. But they were all the one group, the one family. They were all cousins. And then one day they discovered these spaceships had arrived on their planet. They decided, the guest and his family group, it sounds like, decided that that was bad news, it was going to destroy the planet, and so they snuck on board. And seemingly were just allowed to do so, and they've gone on board the spaceship, and that's where they've lived ever since. And then the spaceship did use its weapons to destroy the planet, converting it into resources so that it could build more spaceships, which is what the guest is suggesting they're here on Earth to do, to destroy the planet, mine it for its resources, turn those resources into more spaceships, to then go continue on doing this. In my head, I'm thinking of like the replicators from Stargate as the first one that comes to mind. He also talks about, he doesn't have a name in the language that he speaks. He says his name is in scents and pheromones that precedes him wherever he goes. So that's another insight into this different culture and biology, which is very interesting. A few things that I picked up on that I thought were kind of interesting was he mentioned that they were in a cold sleep between the planets. So I'm wondering if that means there's no faster than light travel. Are they going into like a cryogenic sleep until they reach the next spot? The lack of FTL would be really interesting as a premise. So we'll see how that goes. He obviously says not to trust the robots, but he does say that when they came to his planet, there were no little silver gourd robots talking to them. The spaceships just arrived, hid themselves, and when they were ready, destroyed the planet. So the difference is very interesting, as well as the fact that the spaceships don't seem to care that the guest and, it sounds like, his family are on board this other ship. That either they're just so arrogant that they don't mind that they've got these fleas, these parasites with them, or, as I kind of maybe suspect, is that they just don't know that they're machine sentiences, or maybe not even sentient, and that they're just not programmed or are able to recognize life such as us as life. I think one of the analogies was, would you talk to an ant before destroying its ant nest? No, you just don't think about it, you just destroy the nest. So that's very interesting. The guest did mention that there are others like him on board the ship, and that he's the one that learned English from the radio transmissions, and that there's ones on board that speak Russian, Chinese, and French, and maybe many more. So it'll be really interesting to see if we get on board the ship and see where that goes. There is a line that I really liked. The president was interviewing the alien, and his final question to the alien before leaving, which I thought was very interesting. So I'll just quickly read that passage. He, the president, turned back to the guest. "Do you believe in God?" Without a moment's hesitation, the guest replied, "We believe in punishment." I think that's great. So I think at this stage, the main question, and it's asked by Arthur in this book, is why have they only found 2 spaceships? If there are more, why haven't they found them? Why do these 2 spaceships have different beings in them? Why does the one in Australia have these silver gourd robots? Why doesn't the one in Death Valley have these robots that are coming in and prophesying peace and prosperity? Why are the guests only in this one? Why don't the spaceships mind that they were there? So I'm going to be very interested to see where this is going. I believe we have Trevor Hicks, the reporter, is going to turn up in Death Valley soon. It seems like he's on the trail of what's going on. I suspect we'll hear more from the president and more from the guest. The guest claims that he's dying, which is interesting. I'll be sad if that does happen. Although I did go into this knowing that it's meant to be a depressing, bleak book, so my hopes for all of these characters are pretty low. We're still talking about Harry's cancer and him and Arthur's friendship, and that got to me a bit. There's a scene where Arthur's talking to his wife about Harry in bed, and scenes about male friendships always really reach me emotionally. I feel like a lot of books don't touch on those as deeply as they could, and I like it when they do. A lack of really strong female characters so far. I think the same was true for the last Greg Bear book I read, so I'm maybe not holding out hope that we're going to get some real good representation there. But we'll see. So, if you're still reading along with me, my plan is next to read from chapter 11 all the way through to finishing chapter 17. So that'll take us up to page 91 in this copy of the book. So yeah, chapters 11 through 17. And I will see you next time. Thanks for joining.